Hidayata Muktidarasti Krishna Dhyatana Mutra Chakaschanata Iti Paranugrahamatma Shilam. Something else?
Maharaj actually did this verse yesterday.
Huh?
Maharaj did this verse yesterday. The previous verse didn't have a...
Oh, he did this verse yesterday?
Yeah, he did on Friday.
Must have been Friday.
So you can go on and do 24 also.
Ah, alright. Okay, so maybe we'll just go on to the next verse. Tataschara Vrishamivam Viprishye Vishabhyam Vipra iti Krityatayam Savatmanam Riyamanasya Krityam Hudam Chatatram Vishadabhya Uktaha. O trustworthy Brahmanas, I now ask you about my immediate duty. Please, after proper deliberation, tell me of the unalloyed duty of everyone in all circumstances, and specifically of those who are just about to die. What? In this verse, the king has placed two questions before the learned sages. The first question is, what is the duty of everyone in all circumstances? And the second question is, what is the specific duty of one who is to die very shortly? Out of the two, the question relating to the dying man is most important, because everyone is a dying man, either very shortly or after 100 years. The duration of life is immaterial, but the duty of a dying man is very important. Maharaj Pariksit placed these two questions before Sukadeva Goswami, also on his arrival, and practically the whole of Srimad Bhagavatam, beginning from the second canto up to the last 12 cantos, deals with these two questions. The conclusion arrived at thereof is that devotional service of the Lord Sri Krishna, as it is confirmed by Lord himself, is the last phases of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. In the last phases of the Bhagavad Gita is the last word in relation to everyone's permanent duty in life. Maharaj Pariksit was already aware of this fact, but he wanted the great sages assembled there to unanimously give their verdict on his conviction, so that he might be able to go on with his confirmed duty without controversy. He has especially mentioned the word Suddha, or perfectly correct. For transcendental realization or self-realization, many processes are recommended by various classes of philosophers. Some of them are first-class methods, and some of them are second or third-class methods. The first-class methods demands that one give up all other methods and surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord, and thus be saved from all sins and their reactions. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Yes, so this is an important verse about what is one's duty in life. Because Krishna tells us in the Bhagavad Gita that one should always think of me. Become my devotee, worship me, offer your homage unto me, thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. So this is the most confidential part of knowledge. The one should become a pure devotee of Krishna, always think of him and always act for him. So, as devotees of Krishna, we've come to realize that how by putting Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the center of our life and trying to please Him, we not only achieve the goal of Bhakti Yoga, of being able to constantly remember Him, but we automatically become happy. We become satisfied within ourselves. Much more than we could ever be simply trying to satisfy ourselves. Because, that's the whole business of everyone in the material world, trying to satisfy themselves. And people try to incredibly great length to try and find that satisfaction. Unfortunately, most people within their hearts, they're feeling that deep down they're not satisfied, despite their efforts, despite their accomplishments. As devotees, we've found, just by trying to please Krishna, just trying to put Him in the center of our lives, by acting according to His instructions and the instructions of His representative, the spiritual master, we just become satisfied normally in our hearts. We feel satisfied. We feel happy. And of course, just by putting Krishna in the center of your life and trying to please Him, in this way you become very dear to Krishna. So so we all have this ultimate potential to taste and experience this divine love. So in our Bhakti tradition, we learn that to be truly wealthy means ultimately to have a fulfilled heart. Because everyone has this loving propensity. Deep down, everyone's hankering for the perfect loving relationship. Unfortunately, on a material level, people, they can't really satisfy that loving propensity, despite their efforts and attempts. So, we learn from our Bhakti Yoga, in our Bhakti Yoga school, that that Krishna, He is the Supreme Beloved. When we learn to love Krishna, we not only satisfy our loving propensity, but our love for everyone else becomes perfectly situated. So learning how to completely satisfy our loving propensity is really what spiritual practice is all about. I think deep down in everyone's heart is this normal and natural desire to experience the pleasure of true reciprocated love, the joy of loving and being loved. Unfortunately, in today's modern world, according to surveys, countless people say and feel that they've never ever felt they've been truly loved. And many people, according to these surveys, they have no idea what love really is, despite their deep longing for it. Love, it seems today in our modern busy world, has developed too vague a meaning. And this is the frustration that burns in people's hearts. I want to love, I want to be loved, but it doesn't happen in a perfectly fulfilling way, in a perfectly satisfying way, despite my best efforts. People out there in the world, if they're honest with themselves, they'll tell you that they have a problem with loving. Some people, they just try and avoid it. Just dive into their work, become workaholics, or some people become alcoholics. You see people after work every day, where are they? They're down at the local pub drinking. The reality is that in material life, in material consciousness, when people are generally programmed or conditioned to view the world and live in a self-centered, egocentric, competitive, exploitive, selfish way, thinking life is simply all about my enjoyment, my selfish pleasure, how I can use others to satisfy my desire for unlimited material enjoyment. And what happens? Everything becomes spoiled. It means, in Bhagavad Gita we learn that this means that it's actually lust that's governing people's lives rather than genuine love. And Bhagavad Gita explains that this lust, it burns like fire, is never satisfied. It leads to total frustration and ultimate unhappiness. So in our bhakti school, we learn how this lust for material enjoyment is actually, it's only a perverted reflection of our heart's deepest longing to love and serve the Supreme Lord. He is the ultimate source of love and joy. So in Bhakti Yoga we focus on transforming this lust into love through purification of our consciousness, developing our natural love for Krishna and each other, which flows naturally out into the world in the form of genuine love, care and compassion and concern for the well-being of everyone. The animals, the birds, the trees, the people. So we learn how our longing for love can only truly be satisfied by re-establishing our eternal loving relationship with the Supreme Lord. So developing this pure spiritual love is something to be learned and understood. It's a great art and science with a theory to be mastered, then willfully put into practice. It's just not just some blind sentiment or some imagination. It's actually a great science. It's something we have to learn. Only then can we fully appreciate and understand how we can really connect to that divine source of love and really experience true happiness. So we feel very fortunate, and when you develop your love for Krishna, what happens? You can also experience the pleasure of being able to fully give the love of your hearts freely, not just to Krishna, but to all living entities in creation. It's like something in your heart becomes unlocked, and you just feel this natural love for everyone. And we just see that. We see Srila Prabhupada, he came from India to start the Hare Krishna movement. He suffered and struggled, and he went through so much difficulty, personal inconvenience. And so people say, why did he do that? Why did he go to so much trouble? And the answer is because he loves us, because he loved us. This is the pure devotee of the Lord. They have so much love for Krishna, and their love extends out into the world. And actually their heart, it is said, their heart bleeds to see the suffering of the conditioned souls. And the real suffering in this world is not just the backache or the toothache. It's the soul's separation from Krishna. It's when we've forgotten our eternal loving relationship with Krishna, we feel that unhappiness, that suffering. And of course, sharing our spiritual love with others enriches our life. It makes our life more meaningful and fulfilling. That's why we see in the Hare Krishna movement, we're like a preaching movement. We're experiencing this wonderful, enriched life of serving and loving the Supreme. We want to share it with others. So in our bhakti tradition, it teaches us about the importance, especially sharing our love and regularly also associating with spiritually minded friends who share our spiritual aspirations. That's what gives us great spiritual strength an inspiration, charges our spiritual batteries. So important, this association of devotees. And of course, in regards to partners and relationships, I mean, it's a terrible situation in the world. I think in America, like 1 in 2 marriages ends in divorce within 2 years or something. In Australia, I think it's 1 in 4 now. We see so many people's lives being shattered in so many ways. So we see that this romantic attraction, it comes and goes amongst partners. However, spiritually based relationships built on shared spiritual ideals, respect, appreciation, loyalty and devotion to the Supreme Lord, they can endure. It's a different type of relationship. And I said, what we're really hankering for in our hearts is the perfect loving relationship, which means we're actually hankering for Krishna. Krishna is that beautiful, personal, loving and lovable aspect of the Supreme. And He's offering His love to each of us so perfectly and so completely. And only He can really reciprocate our love perfectly and accommodate everyone's loving endeavours just perfectly. Now we try and find a person, a mere human, and they think that they're going to satisfy all our loving reciprocations and loving propensities, but you know, human beings are very limited. There's always different, situations. Even if you study astrology, you can see amongst partners there's certain things which people they just won't get on perfectly. So they have to be very tolerant and work through a lot of stuff. But so we see that when people, on the material level, when people are trying to simply satisfy their loving propensity in a material relationship without any spiritual connection, they never really feel satisfied themselves, or they cannot really even satisfy the other person. So Krishna will always reciprocate our love perfectly. Whatever little bit of endeavour we make, whatever little bit of effort we make to please Krishna, through a little bit of service or chanting or trying to live the pure spiritual and godly life, Krishna reciprocates with that. We're all naturally beloved children of the Supreme Lord. Krishna, he says in the Bhagavad Gita, He's the Father of all living beings. Nothing can ever change that. But also, the reality is we'll also be given the freedom. We've given the freedom to love and serve Him, but we've also got the freedom and the choice to turn away from Him and seek happiness elsewhere. But at any moment, we can still choose to return to that love, and He'll be there for us. Krishna, He will never force us to love and serve Him. We all have our free will to choose. So, we understand in our bhakti scriptures, when our love is given spontaneously from the heart, using our free will, it's only then that the flower of loving devotional service will really grow and fully develop in our heart. It's only by our free will that it is said that we venture out of the dark cave of pride and ego into the sunshine of loving, humble service. And open up to the light of this divine love and realize the most secret of all secrets, which is this supreme love. So this is Krishna consciousness. Unfortunately, most people in the world, they're only exposed to the external features of religion. They never really know what is the essential purpose of religion. People are taught to simply see God as their order supplier, the one who will fulfill all their material desires and free them from the bad results of their sinful activities. We see that. Many come to the church, or they come to the temple, or they come to the mosque, and they pray in the mood of bargaining with God. If you give me success, God, I'll believe in you. If you make this person love me, I'll stop drinking. You give me good grades in my school, I'll worship you every day. If you cure my disease or illness, I'll come and make a donation at the temple, or I'll make a donation at the church. So according to the Bhakti school, this type of relationship with the Supreme is a step towards the Supreme Lord. And it may inspire people towards a more religious life, moral life, but it's not the ultimate relationship. Generally, if people don't get what they ask for, what happens? They feel frustrated and they lose faith. They don't bother coming to the church and praying anymore. So as our knowledge and faith develop, this is what comes through our spiritual education in Krishna consciousness. We stop trying to simply make deals with the Supreme Lord, and we look for a deeper exchange, a more intimate relationship with the Supreme, where we actually start seeing Him as our dearest friend, our dearest well-wisher, who's full of compassion and affection, who cares so much about us, who's always looking out for us. So when we embrace this beautiful, loving idea of the Supreme Lord, what happens is our natural, loving nature emerges. Then we just want to serve Him. We just want to please Him without any expectation of anything in return. We just want to serve Him for His enjoyment, for His pleasure, for His happiness. We just want to put our whole life in His hands and always trust His direction. And His direction is coming in many ways. It comes from within our hearts. It comes via His pure representatives, the bona fide spiritual masters. So this divine love is the real goal of life, is to achieve this. And it is the secret of all secrets, the most confidential knowledge. So it's very, very rare, this divine love. But Krishna, who's the Supreme Person, He gives it easily to those who sincerely want it, more than anything else. He gives up. Today is a special day, actually. It's a appearance day of Radha Kunda. I think most of you know what Radha Kunda is, but maybe not. Radha Kunda is it's said to be the most sacred place in the whole universe, is this special lake. And there's a whole story behind this, how this Radha Kunda came about. What happened is after, there's, in Vrindavan, back in Krishna's pastimes, we know that King Kamsa, he heard an omen from the sky that one day Krishna would come and kill him, the aged child. And so when he found out that Krishna was born, he was trying to send all his demoniac followers to try and kill Krishna. But Krishna was just a little baby, a little boy. So one of these demons was the Ristasura. So after killing this bull demon, one of the innocent gopis said, Krishna, don't come near us. O killer of a bull. You know, because in Vedic culture, cows and bulls are protected, right? So they said, even though Arista was a terrible demon, still he was a male cow. So you must atone for this by visiting every holy place in the 3 worlds to purify yourself. So Krishna said, why should I wander throughout the entire universe? I'll at once bring all the countless holy places of pilgrimage here and take my bath in them. So then what did Krishna do? He struck his heel in the ground and made this big hole. Then he said, oh holy places, all of you please come here. So when the Supreme Lord had spoken, all the holy places appeared to him. You know, all these holy places like holy rivers and holy lakes and holy tirthas, places, that they also have like a personification, like a, you could say like a goddess of the lake or a goddess of the river or the mountain. They appeared before him in person, and then they entered into this big hole that he made, you know, their waters. And then Krishna, you know, he addressed all the gopis. He told them that, see, all the holy places are here in this lake. This is just a small lake at that time. Because the gopis, they didn't believe him. They said, we don't see them, as you describe. Then all personifications of the holy places, these personalities, joined their palms and spoke. You know, I am the salt ocean, I am the ocean of milk from the spiritual world, I am this holy river, or I am that holy place. They started introducing themselves to the gopis and gestured to Krishna's Kunda. Just see our waters are here in this lake, in this pond. So after purifying himself by bathing in this little lake, Krishna spoke quite arrogantly to the gopis. And he said, I have produced a pond containing all the various holy places, whereas you gopis must have executed whereas you gopis must never have executed any religious duties for the pleasure of Lord Brahma. He said that. So Radharani, she addressed her girlfriends, I must create my own lake, even a more beautiful pond than this lake of Krishna's. So we let us get to work. So nearby they noticed there's a small ditch there, which was actually made by the Arista's hooves when he was trying to attack Krishna. So they started breaking their bangles and digging this in this ditch to make a pond. And then Krishna advised the gopis that they should fill their pond from his pond. You know, get the water from his pond and put in their pond. But Radharani said, no, 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 no. That water from his lake is contaminated by the terrible sin of killing a bull. I will have my countless gopis companions bring water from Manasaganga. So they formed this huge line of gopis. Thousands and thousands, actually. And they were bringing, I mean, there must have been hundreds of thousands of gopis there, this big line. And they had all these, it said, millions of pots of water they were starting to carry, that pass from the lake to one gopi, to the next gopi, to the next gopi. But then by Krishna's order, the representative of the full assembly of the holy places, came before Radharani, and he pleaded with her, "Please allow us to enter your Kund." So Radharani, she glanced at Krishna. It said she glanced at Krishna from the corner of her eye, and she replied with a gentle smile, "Please come." She said to all the holy places, to come. And suddenly, the holy rivers and lakes from Krishna's Kund broke through the walls and swiftly filled this Radha Kund with their waters. So Krishna, when he saw that, he smiled. And he said, "My dear Radha, may this pond of yours become even more famous and renowned than mine. I will always come here to bathe and enjoy my water sports." And Krishna then said, "Indeed, this lake has become as dear to me as you are." And then Radharani said, "I will come and bathe in your pond." Krishna, we see when you go to Vrindavan on the Parikram, you go to Radha Kund, and right next to Radha Kund is Shama Kund. It's Krishna's lake. You got Radha's lake there. Very nice. Actually, on this appearance day in Vrindavan, I was there some years ago. And everyone from the temple, we get on the buses and we go out to Radha Kund to celebrate this wonderful occasion of the appearance day of Radha Kund. I remember when I was there, Ayendra was there. We got there early. The appearance day is actually at midnight, right at midnight. So we got there about 8 or 9 o'clock. We had like a big, Ayendra was leading like 3-hour, 4-hour kirtan. The Harinam around Radha Kund was like 3 hours. It's the most ecstatic Harinam I've ever been on. And then at midnight, the actual appearance time, then everyone comes to bathe in the Radha Kund. But to our surprise, it wasn't just us, there was like 10,000 people. All the people from all the villages, all around Vrindavan, thousands and thousands of people came. It was like it became like a mad rush to get to Radha Kund, and people were getting trampled, and it was like a riot. It was unbelievable. But we got to the lake, we got in there. Special day. And because after Krishna told that to Radharani, Radharani said, I will come and bathe in your pond as well, even though you may have killed hundreds of Rishtasuras. So it's a special day today, the appearance of Radha Kund. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask about the class? Or you have to speak up, I'm a bit deaf. We haven't got the speaker, have we? No, he can just tell me.
It said not to bathe in Radha Kund because it's holy.
Huh?
Better to put the water on your head rather than submerge.
Yeah. Some of the acharyas, they say that, that you shouldn't really actually bathe in Radha Kund, you should just put some water on your head. But I think, the devotees, Prabhupada didn't stop the devotees from going in and bathing there, but I heard that back in the early days some devotees were doing like dive bombs off the thing, and Prabhupada said this is nonsense, you stop that. They were doing, they took it, they weren't paying proper respect, to the holy place, they're doing just diving off these things. Huh?
I was there with that group.
Oh, yeah. But when you first, you actually put the water on before you bathe. You put the water on your head, you bow down, you pay your obeisances, and you're supposed to in a very, respectful way, you just go in, But, definitely some of the acharyas, I've read that some of the acharyas have said you shouldn't actually go in. You should just... Actually, it was, I think it was Guru Goswamidas Babaji. Was it Guru Goswamidas Babaji or Raghunath Das? I can't remember now, but they were the ones that actually excavated Radha Kunda, made it... Huh?
Raghunath Das Goswami.
Raghunath Das, yeah.
Wanted to renovate Shamkund because it wasn't... Radha Kunda was square, Shamkund was oddly shaped.
Mm-hmm.
And there were trees there, so he wanted to make it square, he had to cut the trees, but the Pandavas, with those bikes, came to him in a dream and said, no, we are here serving Radha and Krishna. Please don't cut us down, so that's what today is. Shamkund remains. But interestingly enough, Raghunath Das, because when you go into the holy courts like that, you're supposed to not go in feet first. You cut with your right hand first, pay your basis, and then you go in. And it was Raghunath Das Goswami who saw people not paying proper respect, and he was the one who just put the drops. And we went there, young devotees, we didn't know, we were just swimming, and some other devotees came and they were like jumping in. And Prabhupada, this was about 76 or 75, I can't remember what year. Got back to Prabhupada, and from that time Prabhupada said, don't go there, don't go into bathing. Just put the water on your head, meaning offense. So there was a few different groups that did that over the years, they didn't know. So, when you go to these holy places, you have to observe the proper etiquette in how to go there and bathe like that. But interestingly, Radha Kunda, Shamkund first was midnight. There's a couple of differences of opinion on the appearance of, not differences of opinion, but different presentations, because the appearance of when Krishna killed the Aristasura bull, that was in the month of Chaitra, that was in March. And then at midnight he made his kun, Chandra Radharani made her kun. So usually that was on the Purnima in the month of March. So that was actually 5,000 years ago. But then when Lord Chaitanya went there, and he stayed in Vrindavan for 4 months, and then he was touring all the places, and he rediscovered that. By that time, no one knew. The kunds became small and covered, and they were like in a field, open field. There was just 2 kunds there, and Lord Chaitanya revealed that this was actually Shamkund. So it was on that day, which is the Bhagavatam, which is today in India, which is the 8th day of the waning moon, that the Gaudiya Vaishnavas celebrate because Lord Chaitanya this day. Rediscovering. According to Jiva Goswami, Lord Krishna made his Shamkund and Radharani made her kun in the month of Chaitra on the full moon. So there's 2 different... Gaudiya Vaishnava, they sometimes observe the 2 days. They'll observe it in March, and they'll also observe it now. So interesting.
Shri Shyam Kun Radha Kun Ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai.